Now that we know how to solve proportions, we're ready to unleash their real power and how they can be used to solve unknown quantities. Solving applications of proportions, the key in these is all in the setup. And we want to make sure we set up both fractions the same way. So, for example, if I have a 65-inch tall person who wants to know how tall a tree is, their shadow is 14 inches long. The tree's shadow is 48 inches long. With this information, we can figure out how tall is the tree. The key here, though, is the setup, to make sure we set up the fractions the correct way. We're comparing two things. We're comparing the height of the thing and the shadow of the thing. So I could put the height over the shadow. I could have also done the shadow over the height. It doesn't matter which way I do it as long as I'm consistent. So since I wrote height over shadow, talking about this person, the person's height is 65 inches. Over the person's shadow is 14 inches. This fraction all talks about the person. For the tree, then, the tree's shadow is 48 inches long. Since the shadow is in the denominator, that's where we'll put the 48 inches. What we don't know, the x, what we're looking for, is in the numerator. Now we can set those equal, and we have a proportion we can solve that will tell us how tall the tree is. We're going to multiply by the denominators, 14 times 48 on both sides, which reduces the 14s and reduces the 48s. That's going to give me 48 times 65, which is 3,120, is equal to 14 times x. And we can solve for x, get the x alone by dividing out the 14 that's multiplied there. And that's going to tell us x, the height of the tree, is 222.85 inches tall. Let's do one more example with a proportion. Let's say a company knows that of every 300 parts they ship, 18 are defective. On average. If 5,800 parts are shipped, how many are defective? At least on average. What we're looking at comparing in this problem is the number of things that we ship compared to the number of things that are defective. So let's put shipments over defectives. We know that out of 300 parts shipped, so we'll put that in the top, over the defective, there's 18 defective. That's going to be equal to the second situation, where there's 5,800 parts shipped. Those are the shipped. They go on top. What we're looking for is the defective in the denominator. That sets us up a proportion we can solve to answer the question. Multiplying both sides by 18x, multiplying by the denominators so that the x's and the 18s can divide out. And that's going to leave 300x is equal to 5,800 times 18 is 104,400. And then I can solve this proportion by dividing both sides by 300 so that x is equal to 348 defective parts in this shipment. It's your turn to practice some of these proportions, setting them up, making sure both fractions are set up the same way, and then you can solve many different types of problems.